You all and wish you all a good morning. This is Bill Bullock, and I'm coming to you live, hopefully, from the Biblical Lifestyle Center in Texarkana, Texas, in the United States of America, in the Northern Hemisphere. It is a day of beauty, and I pray it is wherever you are. I realize we're in different time zones, perhaps far, maybe different sections of the earth. And therefore, where you are may not be a Boker Tov moment, a moment of mourning, of hearing the birds sing outside and seeing the buds of the flowers beginning to grow. You may be dealing with an approaching winter in the southern hemisphere, but wherever you are, here's what we get to know. This is the Sabbath. This is the day the Holy One, our Creator, has made. So we will rejoice and be glad in it. This is no burden. This is our delight. And may we take this delight together today as we take a journey, as we take a great adventure into a realm of beauty, into a realm of majesty. We take a break. We take this interval away from the trauma, the drama, the pain, the profanity, the commonality, the urbanity of the world of the 6 days. We enter into the beauty of the Shabbat, of the Sabbath, of the seventh day, which was blessed and made holy for us, for mankind, to get a bearing, to get buoyancy, to get back to the Creator. We're going to talk about a lot of those terms today, hopefully. We'll spend some time together. Thank you for letting me come into your computer screen or your television screen or your iPhone or smartphone screen. Thank you for sharing this moment with me. We are part of a great kingdom, a great movement, and a great story. And we're going to join that great story in progress. As we said before, Torah is a continuously flowing, growing, living narrative. We don't just pick and choose little sections that we can do sermons about. What our job is to catch the beauty and get caught up in the story and relive the story and then live it out upon the earth in ways that bring glory to the Master, to the Creator, and also bring life and health and peace, restoration, redemption, and healing to the world around us. This is the week we would join in progress at Parsha number 19, Terumah. Terumah, a Hebrew word, obviously, is the phrase that we use to describe this. And it's a word we've not encountered before in the Torah. Here we are in Exodus 25, the 19th week of our studies. And for the first time, we're encountering this idea, this word, Terumah. I want you to let your heart be opened, let your mind be awakened, and let the spirit within you begin to cry out, what is a Terumah? Ma Terumah. Why now? Why now? What are you doing introducing something to us of this magnitude, of this power at this stage? Why at this stage in our journey, in our adventure, in our great story of continuing drama? Why now is it time for Terumah? Well, I will tell you that since we're in the sequencing of the divine narrative, this is installment 7 in a certain portion of the narrative, which is the Great Nation Building Chronicles. As you remember, and I won't belabor the point because we've talked about it a lot on these sessions, but is that beginning with the book of Exodus, the Holy One is fulfilling his promise to Avram that he will bring forth from his seed a great nation. This great nation will be a blessing to every family on the face of the earth. This is who we are, and this is what he was doing with all that Exodus stuff, all the stuff about deliverance and the negaim, the different, they're called plagues in English, but they're so much more than that. They're strategic strikes to set free a people. And it was a people of the seed of Avram with a mixed multitude of people from all the nations who had come and been enslaved in Egypt and mistreated by them there. We've all come out together and we're being formed and framed into a great nation. That's why Terumah is being brought to bear at this time. We'll talk about what Terumah is and how it affects us and why it's so necessary that we still understand this is part of our calling. There is a point, a balancing point in our walk with the Holy One that is touched, and we reach that tipping point at Terumah. So I call this installment 7 of the Great Nation Building Chronicles. We've come a long way already. We have a long way to go. It's a beautiful story, and it's our story, beloved. So we're introducing this week the healing and empowering realm of divine beauty. Humankind was created by mankind. Adam and all of us were created by the creator of the universe, I should say. Created by the Holy One, with this capacity to see and be drawn into and then to begin to catch and exude beauty. Well, we are about to touch that. The tipping point, the terumah, has something to do with us catching the vision of beauty. We've seen so many bad things. We've seen so many painful things, so many hurtful things, so many traumas and dramas. We've seen so much go on. There's been so much negativity. But now it's time for us to turn our attention to the beautiful, turn our hearts to the beauty realm, and let him take us into his rooms, his chambers, in his beauty realm. It is an eternal thing. It is not something that's passed away, not some form of ceremonial law that some people have talked about because they don't understand what's happening. The Holy One is introducing us to a holy realm, a realm where he dwells, the realm where his beauty fills everything and changes everyone it touches, the realm where we are being drawn to constantly, and there's a point of balance, a point of tipping, called Terumah. So he's going to introduce to us this week in Terumah, and again continuing next week in Tetzaveh, the 20th parsha. So here we are in the 19th, and he's introducing his healing rooms, his empowering realm of divine beauty, his majesty, his splendor, his awesome wonder. This is to be the foundation of everything we are. We are not to be angry people. We're not to be people who are obsessed with evil or with darkness or with ugliness or with profanity or obscenity or any form of negativity. We are to be people who are exuding, flowing in, bursting with beauty. We have been in the divine realm of beauty, the healing rooms, the empowering chambers, the furnishings have been working in our lives, all the things that we'll talk about in Parsha Terumah when he introduces something called the Mikdash, also known as the Mishkan, two Hebrew words, one meaning a place of continuing flowing holiness. Have you gone there? Do you know the place of continuing flowing holiness? It is no building upon the earth. It is a building that is superimposed upon this world, that we in the unseen realm. It's also called the Mishkan because it is where he shakans, which means to dwell, to abide. He will abide. He abides, he dwells in this unseen realm of beauty. We are to traffic between the realm of the ordinary, the mundane, the common, and the realm of divine beauty, the realm of Kedusha, of holiness. And we're to be able to take and traffic and bring back the things of Kedusha, the things of holiness, the things of beauty into this regular world, and to the people that we meet and know and interact with, and to the purposes and the things that we're doing upon the earth. This is the introduction to the healing rooms of the Holy One, our secret place where we go to be with him, or to meditate upon him, to be able to close our eyes or just fix our mind and fix our sight above at a higher level and begin to see things that the world cannot see, that our natural eyes cannot see. See him in all of his majesty, and all of his splendor, and all of the energy that he's releasing over us to bring beauty into our world. Well, that's the essence of what this parsha is about. Terumah, I want to bring out the one point. Terumah is the way it's said in Hebrew, terumah. You hear the ta, the ruh, and the ma, and the ah. Now I want to take an English word and give you an English word that sounds something like that. Terumah, terama. Terumah, trauma. You hear the same consonant sounds. You hear the same sounds coming forth. Is there a connection? Is this just a coincidence, perhaps, that the Hebrew word terumah, that is the tipping point for us entering into the beauty realm and beginning to flow in divine beauty rather than just cope with trauma and with difficulty, and the English word trauma? What is trauma? Trauma is a sense of an overwhelming situation or experience that is outside the boundaries of our defense mechanisms and that we are incapable of coping with according to our normal ways. And so it overwhelms our senses, it overwhelms our processes, and we react by shutting down. or by resisting in a way that is dangerous or damaging to ourselves. And so it can be inflicted upon us, or it can be self-inflicted, or it can even be imagined and not even real. Dreams can be a traumatic experience. Now, so what has terumah got to do with trauma? Is there a connection? Open your hearts, and I believe we will see over the course of our study. Last week, the parsha we studied was Mishpatim. And it led up to this place. It was the previous sequence episode of the Bnei Israel Chronicles, the Great Nation Building Chronicles. And it provided us with the first steps of the Holy One's plan for renewing the corrupted human mind. After the fall, after all the things we've endured and suffered, all the traumas we have experienced, we have a corrupted mind. We think we're more intelligent. We think we're better at reasoning and logic. We think we're better at intuition. We think we're better at imagination than we are. We think we're better at memory than we are. We have a corrupted human mind. And last week, we had the first introductory ways in which the Holy One desires to renew our mind, to reprogram our mind, to deprogram us from the negativity and the corruption, and to reboot us in the Edenic state of our human mind, the state which Adam was capable of naming, not just naming by giving titles to, but describing the purpose and the function in the great ecosystem whole of every creature the Holy One had made. That's the level we're trying to get back to. The Holy One wants us back to that stage. He's going to take us little bit by little. It's a disciplined journey we're on with Him to renew the corrupted human mind. And as we do so, we are able to face the brokenness of this world. And so what the Holy One did last week was give us 21 hypotheticals that would cross a rabbi's eyes, that are difficult situations, the hardest things of life, and said, here is the way you would deal it. And our minds were blown because we would not do it that way. Our human minds would cry out for some different kind of justice or vengeance or some kind of logic or reason to the specific situation limited to that. And the Holy One does not do it that way. So He gave us the first steps of His great plan for renewing the corrupted and compromised human mind and fixing the brokenness of this world. He really wants to fix the brokenness of our world, and He is going to do so. The question is, will we participate or will we not? So that we got last week the Mishpatim discourse, and He gave us all these fact scenarios, these hypotheticals that weren't even an active case or controversy. And He told us how He would act, how we should act, what we should do in those situations for the greater good. Not for the sake of vengeance, not for the sake of emotional release, not for the sake of, it would be simply for the sake of the greater good and the ecosystem management to bring forth the grand plan for redemption of mankind as a species, bloodline by bloodline, household by household, family by family, individual by individual, as many as will come, and for the restoration of all creation in all its places, in all its nooks and crannies and valleys and hillsides, oceans and land masses, continents and cities, the restoration of all those places to the Edenic plan of beauty and fruitfulness and shalom. That was last week. First steps of renewing our mind. This week, we're going to take a giant leap forward in the renewal of the mind. We're going to be exposed to beauty in such magnitude and in such awesome wonder that it will captivate. Once we see this beauty, we will never be able to unsee it. And it will color every image, every idea, every interpretation of everything we will ever see again. We have gazed upon the beauty of the King. We have gazed upon the beauty of His holy realm. And we will be able to carry that. We will need to carry that. We will be assigned as we reach this tipping point. We will change our focus from reacting to things around us to releasing the beauty realm upon the earth. So I call this the parsha of catching air, Terumah, beginning with Exodus 25:1, going through portions of 27. This parsha is the parsha of catching kingdom air. Take a deep breath. Catch some air. It's like we do when we're skiing. We catch a little air and we come over a hill, and there's a sense of awe and wonder that we're flying through the air. Well, this is the idea of catching some kingdom air this week. Get into the beauty realm. Ascend, transition into and serve as courtiers in the courts of our heavenly King, the places of great beauty. Yes, it's there, even if your mind can't see it. Even if it's not physically built upon the earth at the present time in which you live, that was just a picture. The reality is still there, and we should do everything he says according to the plan that he showed us in this time. So we are to ascend, cross over into the beauty realm. We're to serve as courtiers in the courts of our heavenly King. His healing rooms. We are to receive healing and begin to bring the balm of healing with us as we leave. Even while our feet are firmly planted in this world, we also exist and have our place and our courtier activities in that realm. We are in for some realm traveling, brothers and sisters. Realm traveling is our future, going between the beauty realm and the profane realm of this earth, doing it seamlessly as we learn over the course of time, doing it without wreaking havoc or polluting the beauty realm or wreaking havoc on the earthly realm. We are in to learn realm traveling. So buckle your seatbelts. Let's get ready to go. What we're about to enter into is a certain discourse, one of the longest discourses so far of straight divine speech. We talked about Sinai being the place of God speak, of Creator speak, and that most of what's written here is not something Moshe wrote or good ideas or even revelation he received. This is divine speech. This is just reproduced by Moshe. He is a scribe, and he's rewriting what he heard and what has been said by the Holy One and given to him to rewrite. So this is the era of Creator speak. We're at Sinai. And he had the Mishpatim discourse, a couple of other small discourses, and now we're going to get a bigger one, the Mishkan discourse, the discourse of the tabernacle, the discourse when he's going to give us the pictures, make us envision in our minds, before we even start to think about building or using or engaging with, to actually get a picture in our mind of all the beauty of the tabernacle as a whole, its chambers, its rooms, its furnishings, its avodah, its priesthood, everything that this is all a realm which is bringing forth change in our mind and our heart. It opens up our heart. This is his vision for us, and I call it the tent maker's dream. The tent maker's dream is for all of us to live and dwell and have our place as normal customers, as regular traffickers in the tent of the Holy One, in the chambers of beauty. He's going to say this week, cause them, he's going to tell Moshe, who does his own realm traveling to get into the realm where he can hear these things. He's going to tell Moshe, cause them, being in Israel, to let them build me a sanctuary, a mikdash, it says in Hebrew. Cause them to have them build me a mikdash, a place of flowing holiness, in order that I may dwell, shakan, in the midst of them, right there within them, within their camp, within their being. So, beloved, do you want to build a Mishkan? Do you want to build a mikdash? Do you want to build the Holy One, a place of abode in this world, in your life, in your home, in your community? Do you want, I'm not talking about a physical structure now, especially not some sort of a worship facility. I mean, do you want to build him a place of abode where he rests, his presence rests, and his beauty emanates? Do you want to build the Holy One a place of abode in this world? Do you want to understand why the sons of Korah wrote in Psalm 84, my soul longs, even faints, for the courts of the Holy One? And then it goes on to say, a day in your courts is better than 1,000. I would rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my God than dwell in the tents of wickedness. Well, do you want to know that? But wait a minute. He said, have them build me, for me. The Holy One's saying, for him. Have us build for him a place for him to dwell within our midst. Wait a minute. This is a change. He's been doing everything for us. Beloved, says this whole great nation building chronicle started. It's all been about what he was doing for us. His promises were what he would do for us, and how he saw us, and how he's going to empower us to become who he saw. Now he's been doing everything for us, but he wants us to do something for him. You see, there's a tipping point. There's a change in the relationship. There's a change in the covenant. We've reached a point, a milestone, when he actually wants us to get out of our state of neediness and begin to be a state of collaborative enterprise where we're doing things for one another. This is a new state. It's a good place to be. Wait a minute. He wants us to do something for him, and that is something wonderful and new. In Exodus 25:22, he tells us why he wants this. He tells Moshe, and there, in this tabernacle, in this Mishkan, in this Mikdash, I will meet with you, and I will speak with you. From above the kaporet, the mercy seat, as it's rendered often in English. From between the two cherubim, as it's rendered in English, that are on the ark of the testimony, there I will meet with you, and I will speak with you about everything that I will charge you concerning Bnei Israel. Exodus 25:22. And then he's later in March next week in the same discourse, he's going to go further, not just talking to Moshe, I will meet with you there and I will speak to you there. In Exodus 29:43, referring to the brazen altar in the outer courts of his chambers, he's going to say, and I will meet, again in red, this is the Holy One speaking, Creator speak, and I will meet with Bnei Israel, Sham, there. I will meet with Bnei Israel, Sham, there, at this altar, at this brazen altar. This will be a place of meeting not just with you, Moshe, not just with some high priest. I will meet with Bnei Israel, there, at this brazen altar. And what will I do? He says, I will kadash him in my glory. I will sanctify him. I will fill him with kedusha energy, in the realm of my glory, my majesty, my beauty. This is what we are being called to. He wants us to do it for him so he can do it for us. This is relationship building 101. See, beloved, there is for us a pathway that leads to the realm of the unseen, the Hayei Olam, the hidden, secure, shalom-infused life. We're what I call doorkeeping. The doorkeeping in the kingdom beauty realm. There is a pathway that leads to it. Psalm 84 also says, blessed are those who dwell in your house, in your tabernacle. They will ever be praising you. Selah. Blessed is the man whose strength is in you, whose heart is set on pilgrimage, on realm travel, on this idea of traversing, of transitioning between realms, like Jacob's ladder, the ladder where the angels ascended into heaven and descended from heaven. The seamless transition from one of the realms, the beauty realm of heaven, into the natural realm of earth. This is, how blessed are those who are able to do that. We are supposed to get acclimated to the king's chambers and healing rooms. Through Moshe's eyes, the Holy One is about to offer us a guided tour of those courts and chambers to familiarize us with those places, to get us then locked in our eyes where we can't unsee them, and the things that are there and the things that are done there. We're going to be seeing all this, introduced to all this, so that this will color everything about our lives. We're given this guided tour of the courts and chambers of his heavenly palace. And this is to become our secret place, our unique covenant place where we go in our minds, in our hearts, in our meditations, a place where we spend quality time with him, and we unburden ourselves, and we pick up his burden for the world in a joyful, delightful way. You see, beloved, there is a place. A sacred place of spiritual geography, a place in the unseen realm that is supposed to become our home. Our true homeland is beyond the veil. And that's the tabernacle. That's the place. And this is so beautiful. It's not some forsaken, done away with, overridden concept. The Mishkan, the Mikdash, the tabernacle is our dwelling place, our eternal dwelling place. And it is our dwelling place and our place of home now. It's a place where the atmosphere is supercharged with and radiates Kedusha energy, the energy that causes the four living creatures to sing holy, 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 causes the elders, the 24 elders, to cast down their crowns before his throne and say, worthy is the Lamb. This is the kind of energy that he wants, that this area, this geographical region in the Spirit is supercharged with. It's an area where mercy triumphs over judgment every time. There is judgment, there is deen, there is a sense of taking care of things that need to be taken care of for the sake of the greater good, but mercy always triumphs over judgment. And mercy is always to be delighted in and enjoyed and celebrated more than the judgment. This is a place where love casts out all fear, where shalom casts out all rage, where joy casts out all depression and sadness. We have a place. Do you know how to get there? Do you know how to go there? Do you know how to transition, make that climb? Involves Terumah. It's a place, though, where every vocalization involves thanksgiving and praise. No complaint. No griping. No accusing. No threatening. No shrew-like behavior. Every vocalization involves thanksgiving and praise. And where the sights and the sounds and the scenery are all breathtaking and awe-inspiring and empowering. And where reverent awe of the Holy One is the only appropriate human response that drowns out all other potential approaches. Oh yes, welcome, beloved, to the great beauty realm reveal. The great beauty realm reveal is on. This is our ultimate meditation and divine encounter guide. The Torah provides it for us to cross over the threshold, to become more than just responders and reactors upon the earth, hopefully a little better than our neighbor, we might think to ourselves. No, this is where we become partners in the beauty realm and conveyors of divine beauty. So this is our ultimate meditation guide, our ultimate divine encounter guide for all who seek to enter and traffic in the kingdom of heaven. So we're going to be introduced to the straight gate and the narrow way. If you ever understand how the teachings of the Master Yeshua flow right out of the Torah, right out of the Mishkan discourse and the other discourses of the Torah, of the Holy One's words. He trafficked there and he speaks the language of it. So there's a straight gate, there's a narrow way that leads us there. This is how you get to the beauty realm, through the straight gate and the narrow way. And it is the way on which broken and contrite souls, hungry souls, go to the courts, enter and bask in the healing rooms, and absorb the empowering presence of our Creator, our Redeemer, our Bridegroom King. Parsha Terumah and the Mishkan discourse that comes out of it are our first peek into the unseen realm. Remember that Rav Shaul is going to talk a lot about the unseen. And the writer of Hebrews is going to talk about that which we cannot see, evidence of things not seen. That is the essence of emunah, often called in English faith, giving somewhat a wrong impression, but nevertheless it's emunah. This is our first peek into that realm of the unseen, of that which is not seen. And he said Rav Shaul said in 2 Corinthians 4:18, we do not focus, he's talking about in the overcoming phase, we do not focus on the things which are seen. That's a mind-blowing statement. That what happened to us? How did we get to a point where we can focus on things that are not seen? We do not focus, he says, on the things which are seen, They bombard us. They bombard our senses. They traumatize us. How do we not focus on those things? That's what he's saying. We do not focus on the things which are seen, but on the things which are unseen. The things which are in the beauty realm, in other words. The things which are in this invisible realm, but it is more real than the visible realm, because it's eternal. It's not temporal. It's not fleeting. It's not just for a second. It's forever. It's true. We do not focus on the things which are seen, he said, but on things which are not seen. Because for the things that are seen are just temporary. But the things that are not seen, the things of the beauty realm, the things of the kingdom's healing rooms, these are eternal. Now, the thing about going to this beauty realm, the thing about the transitioning, realm traveling, as it were, is that as we begin to read and study and meditate on Parsha Terumah and upon the Mishkan Discourse in general and the tabernacle in particular, as we do all these things, remember this, beloved, every picture tells a story. This is not just some laws, some ceremonial laws. This is pictures. This is designed to lock things into our minds and into our vision, into our psyches, into our identities. We are connected to this place. So every picture, every vision, every image that we see, whether it be a furnishing, whether it be a court, whether it be a courtyard, whether it be a wall, whether it be a priest, whatever it is, everything we're going to see in this realm, every picture, it tells a story, a bigger story of eternal significance. And so we're going to be introduced to what I call the spiritual law of offsetting spiritual physical parallels. I'll say it again for you. The spiritual law of offsetting spiritual and physical parallels. In other words, every object that the Holy One directs to be built, inhabited, maintained, or utilized in the earthly Mishkan, in the tabernacle that is going to be built upon the earth, in the physical realm, corresponds to two things. Everything we see, every picture tells a story. Everything we see corresponds to an eternal reality related to the Messiah and the Messianic kingdom that is in the heavenly Mishkan, that is invisible to our eyes, but is real to our spirits. And also, it relates to a relation-building truth, which each of us is to find a way to represent in the common, ordinary world that we live in real time, in real life situations, and maintain in the course of our dealings with the bridegroom king and with other people. Well, I've given you quite an introduction there, quite a lot to chew on. The Holy One is calling you to come up here with him. He called Moshe to come up there and to receive the revelation. He's calling all of us to, in the spirit now, to leave behind the negativity and the false idea that we are able to use logic and reason to interpret his words and let him take us up into his realm. So it's a call upward, the upward call. Come up here, as in Revelation chapter 4, verse 1. As we do so, let's say our call to worship, our Baruch Hu, the blessing before reading from the Torah. Join me if you know it. If not, just let your eyes and your mind drift into the heavenly realm and hear the sounds of heaven and the sounds of the Hebrew language that he spoke and taught us to speak. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorak. Baruch Adonai Hamvorak Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bakar banu mikol ha'amin v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. And now would you open our eyes, O Holy One, that we may see wondrous things in your Torah. For we truly are but strangers in this world. Do not hide your commandments and your ways from us. Last week, beloved, in the Mishpatim Discourse section of Torah that we led us to this sequence, in last week's Parsha, the Holy One targeted the corrupted and rational, logical elements of our minds and brains for overhaul. We were shocked to find out we're not near as good at rational thought as of reasoning, of forming opinions, of developing logic and following logic, of inducing inductive reasoning or deductive reasoning as we thought we were. We tend to be swayed by emotions. We tend to be swayed by reactions, revulsions, repulsions, by corruption of ourself through trauma and drama, by corruption that comes from our ethnicity and our chosen associations. And we find out we have this imperfect, corrupted, dangerously deceived realm of thoughts. And so he began to introduce us to the idea of getting his mind flowing in us. That was last week. The state of corruption and short-sightedness of our diseased minds was exposed by his 21 hypotheticals, those that I've described as being those who crossed a rabbi's eyes. Things like a Hebrew slave, a Hebrew servant, things like a girl sold, human trafficked into someone else's household or world that she has no control over. Things like injuries, things like death, murders, and accidental deaths, traumas and dramas, and all the things that are just hard for us to cope with, and expose the fallacy of our ability to form opinions and give and right the wrongs. So we were called to stay focused on mission and on kingdom objective, despite and being in the midst of and bombarded by the seen realm, the things which we have to, the stimuli we receive that we have to process and interpret. And unfortunately, we are normally left to do that through the clouded lenses of fleshly senses, emotions, appetites, urges, desires, self-will, self-interest, ethnicity, culture, ideology, philosophy, pseudo-intellectual pursuits and realms of thought, and, of course, trauma. I've mentioned trauma many times. Terumah and Terumah are so connected. We're going to see again in just a few moments. At the very end of Parsha Mishpatim, the Holy One said to Moshe, "Come up, Allah. Come up to me on the mountain." Oh, I love this. I hope you are hearing. I hope you desire to hear in your spirit to come up to me. Come up here. And he said, "Come up and just be with me. Hayah. Come up to me and be with me on the mountain. And I will give you tablets. I will give you wisdom and revelation, and I'll inscribe it on stone. And the Torah and the mitzvot, the instructions for how we will join together and co-labor in the earth. All these things I will give you. I've written them for you to teach them." In Hebrew, yarad them, to show the guidelines, to lay out the pathway, the arc that we're to follow for them. That's what he told Moshe. And Moshe responded. He went up the mountain. And now we have, as he went up the mountain, no one else besides the Holy One and Moshe, except for the fact we'll get to eavesdrop in because Moshe has given this to write and tell us. And so we're flies on the wall as this conversation is directly happening. Actually, it's more of a direct discourse, not a conversation. Moshe's saying nothing. We have now 13 chapters in sequence. 13 chapters of transcendent beauty. Divine speak, creator speak, designed to build in us this hunger for the life beyond the veil, the world, the beauty realm beyond the veil. Here's how it starts, beloved. Vayadaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. And the Holy One spoke to Moshe, saying, Daber el bnei Israel v'haiku li terumah. Tell bnei Israel to take up in hand for me a terumah. Me'et kol ish asher yidvenu libot tiku et terumati. Take my terumah from every man whose heart compels him to give. In other words, who's willing to give. Take my terumah from every man whose heart is willing to give. Libo tiku et terumatai. And in verse 8, he's going to go on and say, Ve'asuli mikdash. Build, form, shape, cause to take and be visible for me, a flowing receptacle of holiness, of kedusha energy. A sanctuary, it says in some English Bibles. Ve'asu, and have them build, make, shape for me, li, mikdash, this place of flowing holiness, this wellspring. This is an oasis in the great desert of this world. We should have such an oasis available to us at all times. A secret trapdoor that we can go through, a secret opening in our minds that we can walk through and enter into his oasis. The wellspring that from which a whole garden of life is to grow. As the Holy One planted a Garden of Eden surrounding four well springs that watered the entire earth, as in Genesis chapter 2, so it shall be for us. We are to make a place where the well springs of wisdom and revelation flow into us and then out of us into the entire world. Ve'asuli mikdash. And then he says, Ve'shachanti betocham. And I will dwell, I will abide in their midst, within them. This is his call. Take the terumah, build, make, shape, cause to be seen and visible for me, a mikdash, a place of flowing holiness beyond the veil, and I will, through this medium, through this portal, I will abide with you in your world. Kekol asher ani mare otka, according to all that I show you, show and tell to you, et tavnid hamishkan, the pattern of the tabernacle, of the dwelling place. Et tavnit kol kelaiv, and the pattern of all of its furnishings and things. V'chen ta'asu, and in this manner, like this, you are to build him, or build it. Interesting with the Hebrew pronoun of the hu. It can be him or it. So what are we building? Are we building a structure? Are we building a living person? What are we building? Well, if you think about the idea of the beautiful people that he's calling to arise, we are to be beautiful people. We have to have him empower us to do that. But when we're beautiful people, we will have flowing in us his beautiful mind. Beautiful people, beautiful mind. And that beautiful mind, beloved, is to become a beautiful womb. As the Holy One, the Ruach HaKodesh, overshadowed Miriam, the one called Mary by so many people, and she became with child by the Ruach. As this happened, so it is. She became this beautiful womb for someone to come forth. That's so beautiful. So this is the same imagery here. We are to become beautiful people with his beautiful mind. And our beautiful mind is to be a beautiful womb in which we are to nurture to life and receive and then birth someone very beautiful, the Messiah himself. It goes on to say in this parsha, V'no'arki lach sham, and I will meet with you there. V'dibarti icha, and I will speak with you there. Me'al ha'kaporet, from above the mercy seat. Mibein sheni ha'karavim, between the two cherubim. Asher al aron ha'adut, that are on the ark of the truth and testimony. Et kol asher atzave utcha, about everything that I will charge you, el b'nei Israel, unto the children of Israel. Now I want to connect this with the book of Revelation. I should also use the Gospel of John. The whole idea of building this mishdash, this tabernacle, and having a tabernacle abide and dwell with us on earth. Remember John 1:14, and he tabernacled among us. And in Revelation 21, beginning with verse 3, it says, And I heard a voice from heaven say, Behold, the tabernacle. The tabernacle of God will be with man, and he will dwell with us. Where have we heard this before? Where has this come from? From Revelation? John, it's not some new revelation. It's the ancient revelation that goes, because it's eternal. It's in the unseen realm. Behold, the tabernacle of God will be with men, and he will dwell with us. And he will be our God, and we will be his people. This is the story, beloved. This is why the tabernacle is such a pivotal moment and pivotal and critical thing. We must have access to this tabernacle and its avodah and its priesthood and its improved form with Yeshua being the high priest. And he says, it goes on in Revelation 21. It doesn't just say he will be our God. It doesn't just say he will be our people. He will dwell in us. And the tabernacle of God will be with men. It says, and God will wipe away every tear from our eyes. And there will be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying. I know a place. There will be no more pain, for the former things will pass away. Ah, beloved, I hope you're seeing the connection now between terumah and trauma. The terumah is the way to get beyond the trauma. The Holy One knows every human being has one or another level of trauma, places, times, situations in our life that we could not cope with. We didn't have the defense mechanisms. We didn't have the maturity and the ability to shake it off and deal with it and cope with it. And so it just infringed upon us, infringed upon our identity. And we became our trauma. We became triggerable. We became uncontrolled. We became broken, wounded. Well, terumah is about how we get over that. The healing rooms of God. The healing rooms where he takes us in the visions, in the beauty realm, where he bathes us in beauty. It washes out and displaces the trauma. If we don't have this, we don't have the healing from the trauma that he desires for us to have. God will wipe away every tear from our eyes, he says. This is the eternal reality beyond the veil. And there will be no more death, no more sorrow, no more crying. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist on the earth or in our physical life, in our mundane, common life. It means that we have a defense mechanism, a coping mechanism, where we can transition beyond the veil and go into the beauty realm and be healed of those things. It says there will be no more pain, for the former things will pass away. How will we endure what we're called upon to endure in the latter days and the tribulations? How will we be able to do that? We will have access to the tabernacle of God. And we will be able to flow and transition and realm travel between the two realms. Now, Terumah, next phase of the building program, begins with a request that that Moshe take from us a Terumah. Look, traumatized people have a number of issues. One of them is they cannot give. They are reluctant to give, or if not afraid to give, because traumatized people don't even realize why, but they fear if they're going to lose everything again. Think about the slaves in this situation. All the people who were there, mixed multitude and Bnei Israel, had all been slaves, had nothing in Egypt. And suddenly, now the Holy One is saying at this moment, take v'ku li terumah, take for me from them a terumah. Have them lift up something that they might need. They don't know. They've never had anything, and suddenly they have something, and you're going to take it from them. Actually, you're not going to take it. Voluntarily, they're going to give it. Oh, that's a key of healing right there to trauma, is learning how to give. Learning how to trust the Holy One, to release and say, I don't know why I can't keep this or shouldn't keep this, or why I don't even want to keep this anymore. Here it is. I lift it up to you to use as you see fit. So that is kind of where we are. He's inviting us to come commune with him. Now we're going to be in the secret place. We're going to learn. The first thing is beautiful minds know how to give. And he's going to tell us to build, to make, to form, to shape, to build. That's the same verb, asa. That's the same verb that we faced in Egypt when we were to build, to asa, for Pharaoh, the storage houses, the storage buildings, the storage cities. So this, if you're going to get triggered because of trauma of your past, this word is designed to see if you're going to trigger. Because we're supposed to build something for the Holy One. We've done this. It didn't work out well. We're building something for somebody else. Well, this is the idea. Can you get over that? He says, I'm going to give you a vision that's so beautiful that you will learn how to release your trauma, your traumatization of having to serve and build and slave under someone else. Release that trauma and joyfully, delightfully, without complaint, with enthusiasm, serve someone else, the Holy One himself. Serve a greater purpose. Serve voluntarily, even though that it reminds you of the negativity of what you suffered in the other place. He uses these terms because this is his healing room. The tabernacle is to be his healing rooms in his place of immersion in beauty, immersion in hope, immersion in shalom. The other thing is, we're going to learn that over the 4.5 months that this process takes place and the building of this structure actually takes place, it is such it catches us up in so much wonder and splendor and joy that there is not a word of complaint. No more tears, no more anger. All the things that Revelation 21 says would happen. And for those 4.5 months when we are consumed with the Mishkan. Now, the idea is to learn how to take that, even without the physical building or the physical activity or the physical location, and be able to sink our hearts and our faith into that beauty realm and let it take away those pains to heal us of all of our trauma. All right. I want to talk to you about the beauty realm. If you remember in Psalm 27, David wrote a lot about the beauty realm. He wrote about the beauty of the Holy One. His Psalms, all the whole book of Psalms that he and the sons of Asaph and the sons of Korah and Heman and the different writers were put into place for the tabernacle. For the tabernacle of David, first of all, for the temple that Solomon built. And the idea was that we are supposed to have this songbook, this set of vocabulary, a set of transitional, where we help us to make the transition between realms, between the realm of the normal, the common, and the realm of the divine, the realm of the beauty. And so one of the things David said in Psalm 27, beginning with verse 4, a very famous passage, I think, in our day. One thing, echad, I have desired, I have focused on, and I ask of the Holy One. One thing. And that is that I will seek after. That's what I'm going to seek after and pursue as a blind man to touch and feel, bakash in Hebrew. The one thing that I desire, and one thing I'll seek after, that I may, what? Dwell, yeshav, in the house of the Holy One all the days of my life. What is the house of the Holy One? Oh, beloved, it's not heaven. It is the place of the beauty realm. It is this place beyond the veil, which we are called to go through meditation, to be able to go through our secret passageway, the stairway, the secret of the stairway, as it talks about in 1 Chronicles. And to go beyond the secret of the stairway and go into the place of the holy realm. So that I may dwell in the house of the Holy One all the days of my life, to behold what? The beauty of the Holy One, his pleasantness, his loveliness. Oh, this is the season of Hadassah arising, of the beauty and the holiness of that is hidden within us, that's not functioning. The Esther story is not just a matter of observing a holiday. The Esther story is something that's supposed to happen in us this season of the year as we begin to read the Mishkan Discourse and get engaged in it every year. The Hadassah in us that is broken and traumatized begins to arise, and beauty, and put on beauty. Put on beauty, beloved. Put on beauty. You are so much, you're capable of so much more. You possess so much more potential than you've seen. Put on the beauty, Hadassah. Rise up and shine. So David cries out, one thing I desire, one thing I will seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Holy One and behold the beauty. The beauty. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. You can't quit hungering for it. The beauty of the Holy One. Have you seen his beauty? Have you looked upon his majesty and his splendor? Have you been caught up in the reverie of who he is and the honor and the glory and the joy we have of being associated with him, of knowing him and of meeting with him and talking with him and knowing his words and carrying that beauty and that Kedusha energy into the world. To behold the beauty of the Holy One and to inquire in his what? In his temple, in this place, in this holy place, to make our inquiries, to make our discussions, to be a courtier who has conversations, carries on transactions in that realm. For in the time of trouble, there's a reason for this. For in the time of trouble, as we get to the place of trauma reappearing, in the time of trouble, he will hide me in his pavilion, David said. He will hide me in his sukkah, in the secret chambers of his tabernacle, his ohel, his tent. He will hide me. This is our coping mechanism. This is our place. This is our meditation strategy. This is how we overcome all the trauma. This is how we overcome all the pain and the suffering and the oppression of life. He will hide me in his pavilion, in his sukkah, in the secret chambers, the healing rooms of his tent, of his tabernacle. He will hide me, and he will set me up on a rock, and then my head will be lifted up above my enemies that surround me. The enemies will be here. We'll have things on the earth, but he will lift our heads up above that to the beauty realm. And once we've seen it, we can't unsee it. Therefore, he says, I will approach him in the tabernacle with my sacrifices of joy. And I will sing, yea, I will sing praises. Zimrot, songs of praise unto the Holy One. Well, I hope you're getting the picture of this. The idea is that there is a vast, untapped reservoir of imagination, of unpolluted imagination and creativity that is in our minds, that was broken, that was destroyed, or put at least made dormant by the fall. But it is time for it to awaken. It's time for us to recapture what we lost from Gan Eden, from the Garden of Eden. Do you remember Adam's brilliance and the flow of wisdom and revelation that caused him to be able to see the beauty in, the purpose of every creature the Holy One had made and declare it? That fell dormant, that ability, that ability to see and walk in and traffic in beauty fell apart at the time of the fruit fall. And we are called to restore it, to join with the Holy One, to let him restore it in us, and to cooperate, to lift up a terumah of beauty ourselves, of what we can give, to make it into a beautiful thing for all the world to see. We are called to visualize and live in constant awareness of those things which are unseen by fallen human eyes, but which are the essential, eternal foundation stones of the kingdom. And I will make and form and create and craft of you Legoy Gadol, he said, unto a great nation. This is how it happens, beloved. The beauty realm, our enrapture with the beauty realm, with the bridegroom king himself, and all the things of his tents. Our Hadassah arising to our place for such a time as this. This is what makes us. This is what will make us. This is what is making us the great nation promised to Avraham. We have a pathway to healing for ourselves and for others from all individual and all collective trauma. Everyone suffers it. Everyone is going through it at some level or another. No one would trade theirs for anybody else's if they knew what the other person was going through. For trauma is the universal result of the fall. But healing from the effects of that trauma starts with what the Holy One desires and does for us. And then it doesn't stop there. Healing from the effects of the trauma reaches the point of viability when we actually start to turn around and do things for him. Give away things that we thought we might need or want to hoard or hold on to or keep secret. Serve when we would rather be served. These are the secrets. The things that traumatized victims can never do, will never do, but that healed people of the beauty realm, great nation people, will do because of joy and light. It is time for us to arise from the ranks of the broken and the wounded and the traumatized and to be healed, to start to heal others. As is the secret of Parsha Terumah and the Mishkan Discourse. Beloved, I pray for you to have a wonderful week. I pray for you to gaze upon the beauty of the Holy One and be caught up in his splendor and be changed forever. I pray that you will become a vessel of the healing power of the Holy One himself, and that you will see beauty in all things, and from the ashes and ash heaps of this world, you will begin to see and cause beauty to arise. Shabbat Shalom.